Right, right.
You know, and that I love Knives Out. That director, Rian Johnson,
Yeah.
one of my favorite directors right now.
Yeah.
Because he did it with The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
You know, did you watch that?
I did.
What'd you think about that one?
Last Jedi. Well, so
Because that's one that has all three in my mind.
right. So if you look at The Last Jedi, I will say, before I get into my opinion on it, it seems to be very polarizing.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of people that love it and a lot of people that don't like it.
Yes, sir.
So
I think it's for the same reason as well.
to understand my opinion on The Last Jedi, as a standalone movie,
By itself.
I know it's not standalone, but if I just looked at it by itself,
Sure.
good movie, great movie. I don't have a problem with it at all. Very fun.
Okay.
I loved it. I saw it multiple times in theater. I've seen it. I can't even tell you how many times, outside theater, just
Really?
at the home. Yeah. So, well, my wife and I are like huge into Star Wars stuff. It's hard for Star Wars to do wrong by us.
Awesome.
So,
That's the best space to be.
right. But I also look at things and actually try to figure out, well, what's the problem with this and stuff? Why is this movie polarizing to people and that? So I'll try to take a logical approach to how much I can love a film,
Sure.
but I'll take a logical approach to problems or good things with it.
Sure.
So to understand that, to me, I got to look at, The Force Awakens, the first one when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
Loved it. It was great. I felt like they set up a really good story.
Sure.
You come into The Last Jedi, you can tell that thematically it's a little bit different.
Oh,
the
yeah.
messages are different from the first movie and the second.
Totally.
And but I didn't really have a problem with it because it was just like, this director, this is his vision. He's taken the elements from the first story, he incorporated them into the second, but expanded it and left it open like, okay, now where do we go from here?
Sure.
I don't have a problem with it because he didn't really negate anything that was done in the first one. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So he kind of just took it and rolled with it. Okay, great.
Did his own thing.
But the problem is going into the third movie.
okay.
Okay, don't get me wrong.
I'm
Again,
hearing it. I'm
I
hearing
love
you,
it,
bro.
It's fun.
Awesome.
Okay, I love
Awesome.
watching it. It was fun.
Uh-huh.
I just had a lot of problems with it. Going back and saying a lot of that stuff that happened in the second movie, don't worry about it. It's not a thing. Know what I mean?
So you're saying with the third movie, you didn't like that it almost felt that the second film didn't happen.
Yeah, in a way. And in fact, I feel like you could almost watch the first movie and the third movie.
And that's all you need.
Yeah, and there's a couple little plot elements that could be explained,
Sure.
in a paragraph, and you would be
That'd
fine.
be it. Yeah, yeah.
And I don't like that. So my problem with the second movie actually isn't the second movie itself. It's the second movie in combination with the first and third.
Gotcha.
I would have wished that like J.J. Abrams had just done all three, so it would be a single vision.
Fair.
Or Rian Johnson doing all three, so it was
Oh.
a single vision.
If only the
Yeah.
world deserved that.
Yeah.
Because I would love
Yeah.
to see that trilogy.
So I don't actually have a problem with Rian Johnson or the second film or anything done with that. The problem I have is just that I felt like the vision throughout that trilogy was not consistent enough.
I can dig
That's
it.
the problem that I have with it. And I mean, there's a few things like you take the character of Rose. A lot of people had an issue with her.
Yeah.
And
In the third film.
yeah, well, in like the second film, a lot of people had this issue of, we don't like her and Finn trying to get together. We don't like this character. And
It's not what we expected.
Yeah, and a lot of people were hating on the actress and stuff, and that's not cool either.
Right.
I can understand you don't dig a character because
Sure.
I didn't mind her, but I mean, she wasn't one of my favorite characters. But I'm like, okay, whatever.
Sure.
And I felt like in the third movie, it's like she took a back seat. The stuff in the second movie don't matter.
Yeah.
Finn's got a new chick that could be his new interest. It was just like that's what I didn't like. So
Sure.
whether or not there are some elements in the second movie that I'm like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
The third movie is like, I just wanted consistency.
Sure. No, I can dig it, man. And I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you because one of the problems I have with the first, and this is a great example of, again, all those three things
Yeah.
that I look for, because first one, my biggest issue with it wasn't really an issue with most people.
Okay.
People just wanted to have a new trilogy. They wanted more Star Wars.
Yeah.
I mean, think about the climate at the time. We didn't really have anything Star Wars
That's
up
right.
until that moment.
That's right.
I think before then we had, Cartoon Network with
Right.
their show.
Right.
Phenomenal show.
Yeah.
Clone Wars.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
yeah.
get
And
out
then
of
Rebels.
Rebels as well.
Yeah.
And then we had The Force Awakens, and
Yeah.
then it blew up.
Yeah.
For me, I have a problem with anyone, any company, any director, any storyteller cashing in on nostalgia for nostalgia's sake.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
You know, again, just because I don't like it doesn't mean you can't admire it.
Right.
But it also means you don't have to criticize it.
Yeah.
You know, and even though it was enjoyable, I loved it. That was probably my biggest problem with it, is that it's just
Like you're saying, it's like a fan service kind of thing in
absolutely.
a way. Yeah,
It's a
I
New
hear what you're
Hope,
saying.
bro. It's a New Hope.
Yeah, I will say there are a lot of similar elements to New Hope, story-wise.
Absolutely.
Very similar.
From a plot perspective.
Yeah.
You know, and from even thematically, you know,
Yeah.
with Luke and Rey both mimicking the same kind of developing issues.
Yeah.
Where they're both, you know, loners.
Yeah.
Not happy in their
On a desert planet.
on a desert planet,
Yeah.
you know, trying to look for a way out,
Yeah.
but being reticent of that way out.
Yeah.
It's very much just like Save the Cat.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to that, but in
Yeah.
my mind, my biggest issue is that the films before that
Yeah.
that J.J. Abrams did were way more daring.
Okay.
You know, like if you look at the 3 Star Trek films, daring in a way where, in my mind, if you were to put the Force Awakens with the first Star Trek movie, the Star Trek film, from a writing and thematic perspective,
Okay.
works way better.
Yeah, I got you.
Way
I got
better.
you. Yeah.
And then
Well, that would explain why you like The Last Jedi so much, because Rian Johnson really, you know, flipped the script, so to speak, on
bro,
expectations in Star Wars.
my favorite thing about him is that he, and The Last Jedi, to be honest, my favorite Star Wars movie ever.
Yeah.
So
okay.
far, anyway.
Okay.
Is that it took all of those things that fans
Yeah.
held so dear,
Yeah.
and basically said, "Fuck you."
Yeah.
It was just
Right.
hilarious. But he did them in a way where, you know, he subverted those expectations, but meshed them in with his themes.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
instead of saying, haha, take this nostalgia,
Yeah.
he was like, well, we really shouldn't rely on that nostalgia,
Yeah.
because all it's just going to do is, like the last film,
Yeah.
be a cycle that never ends.
I gotcha.
And make it so the characters in that universe follow through the same mistakes.
Yeah.
And so in The Last Jedi, that's why in my mind Luke has that whole, you know, arc where he's like, it's this, and then we find out, whoa, he was the bad guy.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
then him making that sacrifice.
Yeah.
And from a character development standpoint, I love that, you know, and it's mimicked through everything.
Right.
From Kylo, from Luke,
Yeah.
you know, saying that there should be no more Jedi.
Yeah.
You know, it's something that just keeps happening.
Yeah, yeah,
There's
yeah.
always this never-ending arc between good and bad. We should kill the past.
Right.
Wait. Forget the past.
Forget
kill
the
it
past.
if you
Yeah,
have to.
yeah.
Like everything just...
Well, the one thing that I really like what Rian Johnson did on that was, if you look at Star Wars, it's a lot of it has to do with you're powerful because you come from powerful family, or there's something like that. See what I'm saying? So
like royalty.
right. So going into The Last Jedi, there are all these people, you know, who is Rey related to? You know, is it Ben Kenobi? Is it Anakin? You know, is it Luke? Is she a soul? Like, it was like all this, like, who's her family? Who is her family? And then you get into The Last Jedi and it's like, nobody. But you know what? I like the message, because you can see that the message in that movie is anybody can be great.
Anyone. It can come from
Yeah.
anywhere.
I mean, on the surface, it's like anybody could be an awesome Jedi, but
Sure.
but you know, the overall message to the audience is anybody can be great, no matter where you come from. You go into the third movie, and it's like, actually, you do have to be from a special family.
yes.
And that's the thing I don't like, is that's my biggest thing. So no, I really liked it. I'd have to say my favorite Star Wars film is probably Rogue One.
Oh, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see why.
Yeah, and I'll tell you a few reasons. Is one, the way it's shot is not like other Star Wars films.
Absolutely.
I feel like in a way it's similar to like a Saving Private Ryan kind of shot, where it's like almost this dirty war sort of thing going on, you know?
Sure.
And I just liked it a lot. I liked the way it looked. I liked the story. I felt like some of the best Star Wars films have been the ones that are standalone movies.
Sure.
And it may be because you got one director and visionary from the start to the finish.
Yeah.
And for me, consistency is more important, because even if I dislike some element of the story or don't like something, I can respect it if it's consistent and the message is there.
Absolutely.
I'm good. But no, I liked Rogue One a lot. I felt like it also kind of flipped the script a little bit, with well, no spoilers, but the ending to that.
Sure.
Yeah, is that something unexpected in a way.
Right.
I mean, you knew it was going to happen.
Sure.
But it's not typical story, and I appreciated that a lot.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you. I mean, it's interesting because that's a whole nother thing from a writing perspective. Because I like that guy. What's his name? Gary something. But he did the first Godzilla, the new Godzilla.
Okay.
And after Godzilla, he did this. Rogue One.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. And I was excited to see it because what's interesting is that the first Godzilla, loved the first half. The second half, I was like, meh. And then with Rogue One, the first half, I was like, you're so close.
Yeah.
And then the second half, I was like, where has this movie been?
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Like, whoa.
Right.
So it's interesting to see that growth, because he's got, whenever he has a vision, from a visual perspective, and when things get moving, awesome. It reminded me of Fury Road. Did you watch that?
No.
Oh, bro, you'd love it.
Yeah,
with Tom Hardy. And,
I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
bro, it's so good. Like it's basically the second half of Rogue One all the way through.
You mean Mad Max? Fury Road.
Sir.
I have seen it. Yeah,
yeah.
I heard Fury Road, and I'm like, sounds familiar. No, I've seen it a couple times. Yeah, it's really good.
Oh,
very well done.
Amazing.
Yeah, and good story too.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, talk about breaking rules. Like the whole inciting incident was done off camera.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Right.
Because it's Charlize Theron's film.
Yeah.
And Mad Max is just a side character.
He is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's interesting.
Love that.
Yeah.
It's like a video game.
Right.
Where that's why I love the Witcher games, or any good game where even if it's open world has a lot of side quests.
Yeah, I've been replaying Witcher 3 recently.
What'd you think, man?
Yeah. So I tried playing The Witcher years ago. Such a long game, man, but so good.
Long form.
And the thing is, you really get into it. There's a lot of those question marks on the map.
God damn question marks.
And I'm like,
I'm the same way.
I got to go through each of those. And I'll tell you this, the game, at least initially, is not easy. When you're in the wrong place and you're too early for it.
Yes.
But
are you like me, where you get to a place where you're underleveled and then just try to get through it just for the sake of leveling up?
A little bit. Like right now I'm in the Velen. And
that's the one where we have the king or the Baron.
Yeah, Red Baron.
The Baron.
Yeah. So, and actually, I'm kind of in the process of wrapping that up right now. That quest, but that I'd only got to the about where I'm at now a little bit before the first time.
Same, dude.
And I'm like,
because you're like 20 hours in by that point.
Yeah, and you're like, how big is this game?
Dude,
right?
It's not even a quarter through.
Right. So, anyways, I've been replaying again because the wife and I just watched the Witcher Netflix series.
I can't escape this series. What did you think about it?
We liked it a lot. I liked it a lot.
Good.
I thought it looked good. I will say, initially, the first couple episodes, I turned to my wife. I'm like, it feels like a little bit of a friendlier version of Game of Thrones, in a way.
Can dig it. Yeah.
But I will say I feel like they kind of came into their own, and what I was had read was that it was the show is based more off the books than the video game.
Sure.
Although I will say Henry Cavill, I think, is spot on with Geralt from the video game, right on the money, and so. Anyways, I ended up liking it. I think some of the time frame of the characters and how they shot their time frames, it's a little confusing at first.
The editing,
and I was like the worst commentator during this thing too.
Really?
Because my wife hadn't played the Witcher games, and I was sitting there watching it, and things would happen in this. I will say this about the show. I think the biggest downfall is a lot of things aren't explained. So if you're not familiar with the Witcher in that world and stuff, the names, the characters, a lot of that could probably go over your head and be real confused. And she was like, so who is that? What is that? What is that? And I'm like, I don't know. I played part of The Witcher years ago. So anyway, so I started playing it through. And actually, while I was playing The Witcher, we were watching the show. And I'm like, okay, a lot of things make a lot more sense. So I could see that certain audiences would be a little more turned off and confused by it. I think if you stick with it to the end, I think anybody would get it and how the times mesh up and stuff. But I think that's probably the biggest downfall is it is not it's not a typical fantasy world that people are used to.
Well, that's one thing I love about the games, and especially the third game.
Right.
Is it's basically Sherlock Holmes. You're Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
But Sherlock Holmes is a buff, mutant human dude.
Yeah.
Getting to sleep with all these ladies and slaying monsters and helping people or not.
Yeah.
Choice is a big deal.
Right.
And to me, man, when it comes to writing, it's crazy because books, to me, that's level 1.
Okay.
Films, level 2.
Okay.
From a story perspective.
Okay.
The biggest one that comes closest to home to me being the ideal, most intimate, has to be a video game.
Yeah.
Has to be.
So did you like the Witcher show?
No.
You didn't like it? What didn't you like about it?
I did not like that. I'm going to apologize to the audience because I've talked about this each episode.
Oh, really?
It's hilarious.
I'm sorry.
No, bro, you're good.
Okay,
I don't mind talking about it. I'm apologizing to them.
Yeah.
Because they have to hear it. But, my big thing is that it checks all the boxes for me from something that I don't like. So
really?
Yes. I don't like the way it's shot.
Okay.
From a visual perspective, you could cut that and Game of Thrones together, and you're going to be wondering why all the shots from The Witcher look so bland.
Okay.
Number 1. Number 2, you're going to look from a writing perspective, and that writing perspective commits all the sins that I don't like in anything, which is, let's talk about this event instead of showing it.
Okay.
Let's tell you how we, the characters, feel.
Yeah.
And, pretend to think that means emotional trauma or means you should care.
Yeah. That's
one of the biggest sins. And number 3, thematically, it has nothing to offer but plot,
Okay.
So it's all 3 of those things. It checks those boxes. And even though I really wanted to love it, because the third game, one of the best games.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
I
don't think there's anybody in the world that doesn't like the third game.
No one.
Yeah.
But
and it's a gamer's game.
Yes, but you just mentioned the problems I have, which are good first world problems. Is like you start the game and you're like, I can't wait to get this story. Oh, look at all these question marks. 20 hours later, you go through this one side quest that's supposed to be the intro to the game.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus. That's one of the things that, even though I love the game for, I kind of knock it a bit because I love storytelling in video games, like Uncharted. Played all the Uncharteds multiple times.
Okay.
And then I want to say Last of Us, anything Naughty Dog.
So you're saying like you think that like story, the video game, going to the video game story wise, you think that it's strung out too long in a way. It's not condensed enough to keep interest going.
No, not at all. Because the writing in the video game, in my mind, surpasses a lot of the stuff coming out now.
Yeah.
And that's a 3-4 year old game.
Right. Well, even video games in general, a lot of people knock them saying that, it's just video games. It's just fun and stuff. I think some of the best stories I've ever seen have come from video games.
Absolutely. Some of the best experiences.
Yeah.
I've cried and I felt emotion getting tugged,
Right.
Just like, I remember now, one of the biggest ones in the past few years was the second season of The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
And I played it on the Vita.
Okay.
Inferior hardware.
Yeah.
Terrible frame rate.
Yeah.
But if the experience and the writing and the, that intimacy is spot on.
I got you.
All those technical knocks, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
And only a video game can do that.
Yeah.
Because you can't watch a movie that, has multiple frame rates and not notice and it not take you out of the experience.
Oh,
or if it has
frame rates throw me off, man. If it's not 24,
at least,
dude, I don't. The thing is,
I'm with you.
When I watch films that are shot over 24, I'm not a big fan.
Same.
I don't like the look.
I'm with you.
And I know a lot of people don't notice it. I'll be watching it and I'll tell people, I'm like, that's not 24.
Agree, dude.
And they're like, really? I can't tell. And I'm like, trust me, it doesn't look right if it's not 24.
It doesn't.
I'm a big 24 sucker, and if it, but no, I hear you.
Yeah,
I hear you for sure.
I mean, to your point, that's one of the things again with The Witcher 3 or any game. It happened to me with the second Rise of the Tomb Raider.
Okay,
I got sucked in
Yeah.
because of the experience.
Yeah.
But because of me being a gamer, in my mind, I'm like, okay, so here's an open world.
Right.
I'm going to finish everything I can with that open world,
Yeah.
level up, get all this stuff, and then
Yeah.
move forward. And then it's going to open a new area or a new thing, finish everything and do that. I think in my mind, that's one thing that the developers for a lot of games now don't take into consideration.
Okay.
Is that we adults
Yeah.
are going to be the ones that are going to be playing most of these games.
Yeah, that's true.
So what does that mean? We don't have a lot of time,
Right.
you know? And with that, instead of thinking about that, they're just like, here's an open world. And, you know, this is a world like a Witcher 3 or Tomb Raider where you get to do anything you want whenever you want. And
There's not a whole lot of guidance.
there's sometimes none.
Yeah.
Environmental guidance is really cool.